The World Series of Poker Main Event is back.
You're the guy who I thought was going to give me all the chips.
And this year's Old Guard is led by a kid.
I'm going to do a lot of funky things this hand, I think.
You're in big trouble, sir.
No, I'm not in big trouble. I got you.
While the new breed is led by a lamb in chip leader's clothing.
I have a very good image right now that I'm not used to having. People are more intimidated by me than they have been in the past, so I can really use that to my advantage.
Day 3 is underway.
One more day. I made it day 3.
And for Daniel Negreanu, Ben Lamb, and every other player with a dream, there are only 2 options: collect chips or collect your belongings. Welcome back to the World Series of Poker Main Event, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Coverage of Day 3 continues.
Going to get mine. Going to get mine.
Phil Hellmuth still trying to collect his 12th bracelet. Last year's runner-up John Racner is still in the hunt, while Jean-Robert Balland is no doubt worrying about his stack and his bankroll. World Series of Poker Circuit National Champ Sam Barnhart has chipped up on Day 3, while Alan Cunningham tries to fight his way through the masses once again. And there is Ben Lamb, chip leader to start the day and chip leader now.
Lately, Lon, every World Series event feels like the Ben Lamb Invitational. He sits down and they hand him lots of chips.
Kid Poker Daniel Negreanu headlines our featured table. It has been slow going on Day 3 so far for Daniel. To his left is Henry Tran, an aggressive player who can do anything at any time. And the man with the most chips at this table is Tom Corral. Corral has increased his stack by about 20% so far on this Day 3 and has more than twice that of his nearest competitor.
Daniel Negreanu can't get anything going, but he's still sitting on 50 big blinds, so he's got plenty of wiggle room.
Right now, all the players in the room still looking up to Ben Lamb. He has over 640,000. The average stack in the room over 118,000. Action at this feature table, one of 2 feature tables we're following on Andy Rose with pocket 5s.
He's director of casino marketing at the Palms here in Las Vegas. He has a history degree from Occidental College in Los Angeles. I believe they are the Thundering Herd.
And with the 2 5s, a raise to 5,200. Folded to Daniel Negreanu, ace-queen suited.
Daniel says he's been a people watcher since he was 5 years old, so he's been reading people since he was in kindergarten.
And he makes the call. Next in line, Brian Dennis with pocket 7s, and he calls. Tran folds, as does Tom Corral. And the big blind, High Lee. So 3 players, Rose, Negreanu, and Dennis, who's leading with pocket 7s. We'll see the flop. Flop is 4, 5, 7. A set of 5s for Rose, but Dennis flopped a set of 7s. Rose is going to lead out, though. 9,500.
Imagine if this flop were queen 5-7. Daniel would be in a heap of trouble.
Daniel folds. Dennis raises, Rose all in.
Well, it's bad luck, but Rose has got a call.
With the inferior set, he does make the call and will be at risk and in big trouble.
Set over set,
moly.
the silent killer of No Limit Hold'em.
So Andy Rose trying to find some miracle in these last 2 streets to hang on. Trey puts a straight draw on the board.
So now if a 6 comes, they chop it up with a straight. Rose needs a 5 to win it all. Otherwise, Dennis gets the knockout.
The river card, and Rose finds an escape route with the 6 and the chop pot.
No set over set execution. Rose gets a call from the governor.
Wow.
I folded a 6 too.
Appreciate that, brother.
Andy Rose was sure he was done and gone, but runner gifts allow him to chop the pot with Brian Dennis and keep his seat. If there is one virtue to preach here at the World Series of Poker Main Event, it's focus. Daniel Negreanu and Ben Lamb understand just what a marathon this event really is. So far, they've played under control and with the kind of focus and patience you'd expect from savvy veterans.
Let's not forget, Lon, you've got to play for 8 days to get to the final table. We're on day 3. There's no rush. If I were Ben Lamb's mindset coach, I'd tell him to pretend he was on the 405 freeway at 5 p.m. on a weekday. There's nowhere to go, so relax. Move a little if you can. Put it in park if you're backed up, but definitely keep the windows up and the AC on. You've got to stay cool.
Over 1,700 players on almost 200 poker tables still in action here inside the Rio. At one sits 11-time bracelet winner Phil Hellmuth.
It's been 22 years since Hellmuth won the big one.
Kind of hot. I feel like I'm going to pick up kings or something.
Phil on the button. Does have pocket fives.
He didn't pick up kings, but he picked up something.
Phil raises to 4,000. Valenzuela folds now in the big blind. Robert Dixon, king 10 of diamonds.
I'll show you this one.
Dixon owns a tow truck company in South Florida.
And the 54-year-old amateur makes the call for 2,000 more.
Heads up.
And these two will go to the flop. 7 trade deuce. Flush draw for Dixon.
3,800. I'm all in.
Wow. 3,800 from Phil, and Dixon comes over the top. Phil mucks.
Insta fold and an insta laugh from the brat.
Seems like kind of an evil laugh from Phil. It seems like these two may have some history.
You guys moved into me twice already. They're going to make a mistake, double me up, and then I'm going to... I'm calling it right now. Just watch. They don't know how to fold. It's the sickest thing ever. 2 days, 3 days in the main event, they don't know how to fold. I watch it. It's sickening. I know how to fold, and I know how to call.
I know how to fold, and I know how to call. That's number 3 now on the all-time Hellmuth quote list.
Back to our feature table where Daniel Negreanu sits, trying to find high gear today at the main event. Henry Tran under the gun with ace-10 of hearts. Tran raises to 4,500.
$8.7 million to the winner line. The main event was winner-take-all until 1977. That year, there were 34 entrants, and Doyle Brunson took home $340,000 in his second straight championship.
And now we're covering over 6,800 players. We've got 2 featured tables. We're following all the outer tables. 206 million chips in play. Wow, how this has grown. Ace-deuce of clubs for Dale Robinson on the button, and he makes the call. 4-7 of hearts for Negreanu in the small blind.
If they're small, if they're suited, and they're sort of connected, they've got kid poker written all over them.
He does call. Brian Dennis, the trade deuce off in the big, calls for 2,500 more.
Dennis comes in for a discount, trying to turn 3-2 into a no-limit coup.
4 players will see this flop of 7-6 deuce. Daniel leads with top pair.
Sounds like an idea.
Daniel says that flop landed right on my front door.
Daniel's neighborhood. He has chips in hand. That's 9,200. Dennis with a pair of deuces.
The trade deuce got a part of that flop, but it looks like it wasn't enough.
Into the muck. Henry Tran missed it.
Completely missed it, and he should be taking the A train out of town.
Call.
But he loves to play with Daniel, and he makes the call. Robinson also with a pair of deuces. And he gets out of the way to leave us heads up with Negreanu and Tran.
Canadian rivalry is renewed. Of course, Daniel now lives in Las Vegas. Tran still in Ontario.
Daniel getting a home in Toronto once again so he can play online poker. Sees the 6 of clubs come out on the turn. Negreanu still ahead. 36-year-old kid poker checks.
Not sure why that 6 would slow down Daniel. Tran raised pre-flop. Doubtful a 6 is in his range.
They both check to the river. Queen of hearts misses both. Daniel's pair of 7s is best. He checks.
Daniel wary of something here.
Tran puts out 15,000, 3 of the orange chips.
Well, I'd be wary if I checked. Tran would just try to steal the pot.
Check back the turn. Why'd you check the turn? Such a big draw board. 8, 9, 19. Need to see this one.
Curiosity makes the call.
You're good.
And gets the chips.
Daniel talks it out, and Daniel likes the way it turns out.
Daniel satisfied with his play there, earns a 69,000 chip pie. Finally with a good step forward here on day 3. He knows the dangers of status quo at the main event.
The 2011 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOPAcademy.com. Instant online training from world champions is just a click away.
Welcome back to day 3 of the 2011 World Series of Poker main event. Play still taking place in both the Pavilion and Amazon rooms here at the Rio. And one of the featured attractions of the main event is at our secondary table where Ben Lamb is holding court. He has the most chips of either room, and with that dominating stack, coupled with a number of short stacks, he may be hard-pressed to get much action out there. So far at this main event, Ben Lamb has looked very comfortable at the table, and that might be because he's got a good plan of attack.
The main event's different from every other tournament on earth because every single person plays it who has any kind of enthusiasm for poker. It's a huge field, huge prizes. It's a lot of fun. When playing against amateurs, you just kind of have to identify whether or not they're aggressive or if they're loose passive or how they play, and then you play against amateurs like you would against pros. So if amateurs, you can maybe push around a little bit more. I prefer to play against amateurs every day.
He should like playing against amateurs. Lamb was 14th here at the 09 main event.
Former main event champ Huck Seed also at this table.
4-time bracelet winner, struggling at this World Series this year.
And German poker pro Alexander de Boos.
Known as Koala Bear, 1984 online. You know the koala's not even a bear, Lon.
You are a gentleman and a scholar. On the button, Ben Lamb, the chip leader with 2 red aces.
Does it seem fair the chip leader gets pocket aces?
And Lamb raises it up.
A small raise. A friendly raise. Let's play friendly.
Friendly
okay?
2,500 chip raise to Peltola with 5-4 of clubs.
And it looks like in the big blind, Peltola wants to try a Daniel Negreanu type of hand.
The amateur will call for 2,500 more. Go up against the newly crowned bracelet winner, Ben Lamb. The flop 7 deuce 4. Peltola with a pair of 4s. He checks. Lamb checks. Jack of hearts on the turn.
That was a very deceptive check on the flop by Lamb. It allows him to lose a small pot if Peltola happens to flop a set and may get him value later.
Lamb bet 5,000. No more free cards for the amateur. Peltola called. Another 7 on the river. A check from Peltola. Ben Lamb with aces up. 12,000.
Relatively small value bet by Lamb.
Aces.
And a call.
I like Ben's hand.
Huck Seed is correct.
That was a little better in my hand.
Lamb picking on the amateur. By the way, amateurs should like to play the main event.
like
They
my
won
hand?
it 6 straight years,
I like your
started
hand.
with Robert Varconi in 2002.
Nice hand.
When they called, I liked your hand.
I had nothing.
So Ben Lamb adding to his stacks of chips here at the secondary table as he extends his lead throughout this main event. 4 chips are in play right now. A good goal is to get as many of those orange chips as possible. Those are worth 5,000 apiece. Blacks 100, blues 500, and the yellows are worth 1,000. Let's go back to the featured table.
4 levels?
4 is what it said on the sheet.
That's like awesome news.
Daniel happy. They're playing 4 2-hour levels today in the main event. He folded over to Brian Dennis with pocket jacks.
The Lon McCarron Memorial hand.
Oh, indeed. How can you get away from it? How can you enjoy playing it? A raise to 4,900. Henry Tran with the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand. Norman, you're 3.5 out of 7 so far.
Yeah, well, it's multiple choice. I should bat at least 250 by dumb luck alone.
And dumb being the operative word.
Good for you.
A call from Tran.
Well, he's calling on the button, so I'm going to put him on a Negreanu type of hand for once. C, 8-7 suited.
Over to Hai Lee in the big blind, King Jack offsuit. He calls for 2,900 more. So 3 players, including the wild card hand, will see the flop. It is 4-10 ace. Hai Lee with a Broadway draw. He checked it. Dennis with the pocket jacks. Worried about the ace out there? I guess not. 11,400. And Tran with the call.
Well, just calling, so I don't think Tran has an ace in his hand. And I don't think he just called a pair of 10s here. I think he's on that club flush draw.
Action on Lee, and he kicks it in. So that leaves 2 players, Tran and Dennis. Dennis with the pocket jacks. Turn card, another 4. Dennis with jacks up now. He checks.
You checked a Tran on the turn line, and it's like handing him the keys to your car and telling him to take it wherever he wants.
He's got 3 of those orange chips in hand. That's 15,000.
I still sense Tran's on the club draw. This man's a high wire act.
Dennis with a check call.
And Tran will bet the river even if he misses.
They see a queen of diamonds fall on the river. Dennis checks again.
Well, Tran missed his draw.
Wow, he checked, and he had king 10.
Oh, man, he had the king 10. He was betting a pair of 10s on the turn. That hurts him, and that hurts me. Mark it in the loss column, Lon.
Tran also in the loss column on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand.
You know, I couldn't even put a guy on a hand if he shows me his cards.
And on the wild card guesses, you were 3.5 out of 8 as Dennis somehow makes pocket jacks sing. To the outer tables, it seems John Racner, last year's runner-up, is all in with pocket kings for $50,000. Harold Wasson with pocket queens seems destined to give Racner a double-up.
Wasson, a 64-year-old real estate broker from California.
Racner trying to repeat his performance from last year. And here's the flop. Racner at risk. And there's a queen in the window, so a set for Wasson.
That will all but do it for John Racner.
Wasson ready to punch Racner's ticket back to Florida. Turn card now, another 5.
John Racner's got to have a king.
The river card is an ace, and the book is closed for 2011 on John Racner.
2 final tables of this World Series for Racner, but no main event luck.
Done in by the bad beat at the hands of Harold Wasson, the 64-year-old amateur. And that leaves just one of the 2010 November Niners left in this main event field, Joseph Chung. Welcome back to Las Vegas in the 2011 World Series of Poker main event presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. It seems like anytime you look around the rooms of the Rio and somebody's getting knocked out, the latest victim, 1983 world champ Tom McAvoy. And there is 2-time bracelet winner Greg Mueller, who is making his own full-blown exit.
That's poker. I'll be okay.
Still plenty of big names left in the field. Eric Lindgren looking for his first main event cash. Vanessa Russo, they have average stacks so far in day 3. Phil Hellmuth chipping up after missing the start of day 2. At the featured table, Daniel Negreanu has some new company. His old table broke, but he remained here. The talented Christy Gazes is directly to his right.
A wonderful mixed games player, and she cashed at the main event in '09.
And the always entertaining and dangerous Sean Deeb comes in with a big stack.
Another mixed games monster. 6 cashes at this World Series alone in a variety of events.
Deeb is the top stack. Max Heinzelman right behind him. A dangerous player is Max. And San Michele Apuro plays the highest cash games in the world. This table built for action. Deeb with king, queen off.
Deeb, of course, prolific on the internet. This guy's online so much his right hand is a mouse pad.
Of course, the Department of Justice shut down the major U.S. online site, so he's got to find something else to do or somewhere else to live. Deeb raised it up to 5,500. That incited a lot of folds behind him, and no one wants to play with Sean, and he'll take that.
What were the odds of that for you, Daniel?
Sean made his first World Series final table this year, 4th place in the 10-game mixed 6-handed event.
Well, Sean misses being online, but he is a terrific live player.
And they recognize that. He raised, everyone else folded. Deeb needs a lot of pots like that to cover his main event buy-ins. He bought his grandmother in as well.
My name is Ellen Deeb. I'm 91 years old, and my grandson is Sean Deeb. I've been playing poker since I've been 8 years old.
It was Christmas time, and I was thinking of ideas for Christmas presents for the family, and I decided to give everyone a trip to Vegas. I came up with the idea, why not put my grandmother in the main event? She's the one who taught me poker.
Well, he was 7 or 8, and he just ate it up.
She plays poker like 50, 60 hours a week. Thought it'd be a great experience.
He just asked me if I'd be interested to play in the main event, and I said, sure, why not? And it just happened.
I really liked the way she played it, so I was really happy with putting her in. And my whole family got to watch her play. She's a great character, and anyone who gets to meet her falls in love with her instantly.
The whole experience was the experience of a lifetime, playing in the World Series of Poker.
I guess it's a good thing Sean's not an Indy car driver.
His grandmother, the oldest player at this year's event, she busted on day 1. The youngest player, Logan Dean, turned 21 the day he played, always looming that $8.7 million first place prize. I am sorry to report that Jack Urey, the man who was the oldest to ever play in the main event at age 96, passed away last February at his home in Indiana. He will be missed. Under the gun, Sean Deeb with ace-9 of hearts raised to 5,500, folded to Daniel with queen-jack of clubs.
You may recall Daniel and Sean had a little dust-up at the World Series Europe main event in '09 in regard to a string raise, but they're good with each other.
And they do play a lot of cash games together at the Aria, and they'll be heads up here.
What's more scary, your flat or mine under the gun open?
The flop now. 8 queen deuce, 2 hearts, pair of queens for Daniel has him ahead. The nut flush draw for Deeb. They both check.
Big hands, no action.
Turn card, 9 of clubs. Daniel's queens are still ahead, plus he picks up a straight flush draw.
Time for Daniel to spring into action.
8,200 worth.
I don't know if that's springing into action, but it is action.
Deeb paired his 9 on the turn, and he makes the call.
Both stepping gingerly.
River card. 8 of spades, no help to Deeb. With queens up.
Daniel likes it.
And
Daniel does like it.
A little more. 18,700 from Daniel.
Deeb doesn't like it. I guess he could call here if he puts Negreanu on a busted draw.
And he does call. And Daniel will take some of Sean Deeb's chips.
The more stylish headgear takes home this one. I like plaid.
So Daniel plays against and gets some chips from the biggest stack at this featured table. Deeb slips, Daniel gains. Let's check in with Joe Navarro, who will share the tells he saw in that last hand.
Daniel holding very still, doesn't want to give anything away, but then we look at Sean and we see him exhaling, we see him scratching his face, his mouth opens up, and then the corner of the mouth goes towards his ears. Anytime we see that, basically what he's saying is, I'm hurting here, and we see it again right there. This is a weakness cue, and I'm sure that Daniel's going to take advantage of it.
That's how Daniel beat Sean's grandmother out of rent money the other night in Mahjong.
Let's see if Daniel uses that information against Sean in later hands. Two stars collide. It's Sean Deeb who took the worst of it. Welcome back to the 2011 World Series of Poker presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Starting with a big stack on day 3 might seem important, but it was not for the previous 5 champions. Jamie Gold and Jerry Yang cracked the top 100, while Jonathan Duhamel was not in the top third of players remaining. Joe Cata was in 99th place at the time, and right now Joe is trying to get through Omri Sasson to double up. Joe is behind right now. He has Jack 8 against Sasson's Ace 9.
Cata's feet got a little itchy here with 16, 17 big blinds left.
So here's the flop. It is 7, 8, 10, a pair of 8s for Cata to take the lead. Straight draw for Sasson. Turn card now.
Low heart out there.
The 6 of hearts, and Sasson hits the straight.
Ooh, and Cata now would need a 9, and it can't be a heart to make a higher straight, or he's gone.
Needs the long ball, does not get it, and another past world champ goes bust here in the 2011 main event.
The bum's over the hill, Lon. Cata could be washed up at 23.
With his departure, that leaves us with 5 past main event champions still alive in the field. Elsewhere at the outer tables, you're looking at Sam Barnhart, who holds pocket kings pre-flop. Sam had 4-bet into Denilson Menezes from Brazil, who then moved all in. We're waiting for Barnhart's reaction.
Barnhart's been sitting here with the pocket kings for a while, and he doesn't want to call.
He has Menezes covered.
Somebody can call the clock if they want to.
I'm not going to do it.
This is tough. Sorry, guys.
Boy, Barnhart senses he might be beat. That's quite a sense.
Okay, this time I'm going to lay this down.
Really?
I won't lay it down again.
He folds the kings.
Wait. Maybe he wants to show it. You want to show it for the camera?
Are they going to turn his hand over?
Can we see that hand? Show it. Can we turn it over? It's
not easy. And there they are.
I just had a feeling he had aces. I don't know. I mean, to me, that's the only way he can do. He had to have aces to do that. And then I thought maybe queens.
I thought he was bluffing.
I had queens. I thought maybe he had queens there, but I'm thinking, no, you're not going to push on Lynn. This is a big tournament here.
What a lay down.
All right, guys, Andy up. Man, you don't know how close I came calling you.
After that fold, Sam left with about 200,000 chips. As we swing back to the featured table, a quick look at the running order. Heinzelman now with the top spot. Calipiro moves into second, Deeb and Negreanu at third and fourth, respectively. Blinds at 1 and 2,000, a 300 chip ante. And there is Heinzelman, the German poker pro who turned 21 just about 2 weeks ago. King 10.
He's quite aggressive. And you know, that hair dye will come out maybe with 2 more washings.
He's going to raise it up to 4,600. Calipiro with pocket 6s. 24-year-old known as Lars Luzak online makes the call.
By the way, in that last hand, if I'm Menezes, I would never show the pocket aces. That validates your opponent's read. Barnhart's confidence should be sky high now.
Folded around to Christy Gazes with ace-queen and the big blind.
She final tabled a World Series shoe event in 2001. That's horse without Raz. Who doesn't want to play Raz?
2,600 more, and she makes the call. 3 players will see this flop, Gazes, Calipiro, and Heinzelman. The flop is Jack 5 ace. Gazes hits top pair, and she checks it. Heinzelman now with a Broadway draw.
Heinzelman is from the uber aggressive school.
And he bets 7,100. Lars Luzak, AKA Calipiro, folds. And now Christy Gazes with a check raise to 17,100.
A nice check raise. The check raise usually signals strength. At the moment, Christy Gazes is pretty sure she has the best hand.
Heinzelman, as we mentioned, with the biggest stack at this table, will test Christy Gazes, a re-raise to over 33,000.
And Heinzelman signaling a frisky and reckless aggressiveness. I don't think Christy Gazes is going anywhere.
She knows how to take the heat. She's a poker pro. She's an options trader. She lives in LA.
I go all in.
And Gazes moves all in with top pair. Heinzelman quickly gives up his hand, and a nice win for Christy Gazes.
Christy correctly surmises her all-in with shutdown Heinzelman's Operation Swaggelfoos.
Gazes has been around the main event for 5 years now, and she told us she's noticed some differences these days.
Compared to 5 years ago, which is the time I played my first main event, it's night and day. There was a little bit of this funky stuff going on, but I feel like the internet has given people the opportunity to almost figure out the game, no limit hold'em, especially tournaments. So it feels like it's almost figured out mathematically. It's going to be a challenge. People are way better and getting better.
Christy once married to poker pro Bill Gazes. I always believe that marriage ended because Bill didn't play poker quite as well as Christy did.
All right, we head over to the secondary table now, where we get another look at someone who seems to have figured out the entire World Series, not just the main event. Ben Lamb still in the lead, and no meaningful threat to his stack at the other table other than Alexander DeBoos. Action has been folded around to DeBoos on the button. He looks down at pocket nines.
This is a deep stack tournament. DeBoos very comfortable right now with 150 big blinds.
A raise to 4,500. Broussard with pocket trays in the small blind makes the call. And now Dan Kelly in the big blind. Jack of spades, 10 of hearts.
What a smart kid, just 22, just graduated from Villanova, an online monster.
And he makes the call for 2,500 more and will tangle with DeBoos and Broussard. Three-way flop.
6 or 7, I forgot which.
6, 9, 10. A bad flop for the trays. Top pair for Kelly, but a set for DeBoos. Kelly and Broussard both check.
That's a draw-heavy board, so I doubt DeBoos will slow play a set of nines.
No, that's, I do understand.
He might play slowly, though.
Wow, that's amazing.
And he is deliberately putting together 8,500. Broussard now. Trays go into the muck. Kelly with a pair of 10s, top pair.
Kelly won a no-limit bracelet in 2010, the first year he was old enough to play at the World Series.
Kelly calls the 8,500. DeBoos with a big advantage going to the turn. Deuce of spades, that misses Kelly. Dan now drawing dead. He checks. DeBoos now with the 3 9s. 15,500. Kelly all in.
I call.
DeBoos calls and will hand Dan Kelly his walking papers.
Wow.
Nothing like moving all in while you're drawing dead. Kelly sees the bad news and immediately hits the rail.
A shocking misstep from Dan Kelly, and in a heartbeat, he's gone.
Dan Kelly done on day 3, and DeBoos just got a little more dangerous.
I call.
Nice hand.
Look.
Welcome back to Las Vegas. The action on the Strip always fast and furious, and likewise at the Rio and the World Series of Poker main event. Alexander Debus up to $355,000 after his knockout of Dan Kelly a moment ago. Debus folded after Marvin Peltola raised it up with Queen Nine of Diamonds. Broussard with aces just calls.
Heavy snow expected into the Las Vegas area later this evening.
It's the wool hat of Joe Ealer. He folds, as does Ruby. 6'7" Huckseed lays it down. Lamb with ace-7 suited in the big blind, and he will stick around.
And there's the man slow playing pocket aces, looking at his hand again, probably checking out what suits he has.
3 players, 2 suckers, 4 king, jack, 2 diamonds. Ben Lamb drawing very thin. Peltola with a straight flush draw. Broussard still best with the aces. A little shaky now. Went check to him.
Broussard, born in Seoul, South Korea. He now lives in Las Vegas.
He bets 8,300. Lamb folds. Now Peltola.
And you see him covering his mouth. Otherwise, he would start shouting out, "I've got a straight flush draw, Ma!"
A raise. Check raise to 20,000.
Broussard, a 3-2 favorite in the hand right now.
And just calls. The aces against the straight flush draw of Marvin Peltola. And there's a diamond. Peltola hits a flush.
I'm all in.
And he moves all in.
I call.
And Broussard makes the call. Broussard does have the ace-high flush draw, too.
Yeah, but at the moment, Broussard's slow play backfires. Peltola looking to double up. Broussard hoping to make a full house, or he needs a diamond, anyone other than the 10 to knock him out.
The river card, king of hearts, and Broussard's aces are cracked as Marvin Peltola doubles up to almost 181,000.
Broussard feeling the pain of wearing that shirt and losing with pocket aces.
So Broussard takes a big hit and falls down the chip count. Huckseed at this table is nursing a short stack with just 17 big blinds. Lamb and Debus, the 2 top stacks here, are primed to keep the heat on the shorter stacks at this secondary table. Action is on Debus, who has over $1 million in online tournament winnings, trying to make a big splash here at the main event. He folds Jack-7. Over to Joe Ealer on the Jack Links Beef Jerky hole cam. He's got 1 ace. He has 2 aces.
These are better pocket aces than Broussard's, Lon, because he's got the ace of spades, which last time I looked was the prettiest card in the deck.
A raise to 4,500. Ruby and Seed get out of the way. Over to Ben Lamb on the button, and he squeezes 2 queens.
Ben Lamb has finally met his match.
Lamb does not think so, I'm sure. And he does raise it up. 11,500. Peltola
fold.
Gets rid of 10-5. And now back to Ealer with the aces.
This is Ealer's first live tournament. He's a financial advisor.
Going against the chip leader in the main event. Ealer 4 bets it to 33,000.
16, 5 more.
21.5 more.
Yeah, that bet should stir up Lamb's radar detector. A 4 bet from an amateur pre-flop. Of course, Ben can easily afford to see a flop here.
Ben Lamb, very strong post-flop player, but he'll have to pay to use that advantage, and he does make the call. So his queens against the pocket aces of Ealer. Here is the flop. King, 9-5, all spades. Ealer adds the nut flush draw and moves all in.
All in.
Well, Ben doesn't have a spade. Ben doesn't have pocket aces. He doesn't have a set. He doesn't even have a king. This is an easy fold.
And he does indeed give up the queens.
Well, Ealer had aces and the nut flush draw. He scared Lamb away with too big of a bet.
But I'm sure Joe Ealer happy to be stacking the chips. He did what many have tried, but few have succeeded at. Win chips from Ben Lamb. Not a big hit to the leader, but perhaps a ray of hope for the rest of the table. More breakthrough moments here at the 2011 World Series of Poker. The 3 most recent champs are first-time winners, including Central American-born David Diaz, diagnosed with cancer at age 4. Not only is he fully recovered, but now he has a World Series of Poker gold bracelet. Joining him was 3K Limit Hold'em champ Tyler Bunkowski.
I wasn't going to walk away with second.
And shootout winner Andrew Badaker, who took home a $369,000 first-place prize. Andrew Pattaker is from Connecticut, one of 7 states with multiple bracelets this summer. If you're doing the math and wondering why we show only 37 winners, this list includes only players living in the United States. There were 20 winners from the rest of the world. There's Las Vegas resident Joe Chung, the only 2010 November Niner left. He's doubled his stack today and still rocking the sunglasses here in 2011. Joe among the chip leaders right now. Let's catch up with the Poker Brats table. Phil Hellmuth watching. Action on Marcos Sequeira of Brazil right now.
Sequeira, 45 years old, cashed in a no-limit event at last year's World Series.
Suited ace and a raise to 5,000. Folded now to Phil.
I'm all in.
And Phil re-raises, Sequeira all in.
Hellmuth would have Sequeira dominated here.
The Brazilian is short stacked with almost 37,000.
My first all-in.
Didn't we see Hellmuth all in on day 2?
He was indeed. Sequeira makes the call to put himself at risk, and he'll be dominated. Hellmuth in good shape to score the knockout. Here's the flop. 4-6 deuce, 1 heart.
I hope for everyone's sake it continues to be a clean board for Phil Hellmuth.
Turn card, queen of diamonds, no help to Marcos.
Only an 8 would save Sequeira.
The river card, the 4 of spades, and Hellmuth will absorb all of Sequeira's chips into his own stack.
Good game, man. Good, very good aggressive play. That lad kept folding and folding and folding to you.
Okay, congratulations.
I'd congratulate Sequeira for getting away from Hellmuth without a rant.
So Phil continues to try to recover from his day 2 snooze fest. We go from the outer tables back now to our feature table.
You know, Lon, I like it when Phil Hellmuth has a kind word for the departed. He has a gentle side we don't see enough.
Daniel up from his starting count of 114,100 here on day 3. One of 5 past players of the year still kicking in this main event. With pocket tens, Josh Kay just raised it up to 4,600.
Okay, a 24-year-old poker pro from Florida. He cashed at the 09 main event.
Fold it around to Christy Gazes. She will kick it in. Daniel with 8-7 will lay that down. Edmund Chan on the button. Queen Jack of diamonds. He won't play his button.
I would have played it.
Deeb in the small blind with 2 aces.
Yeah, but Sean has that king-queen suited poker face on right now.
He will repop it to 15,600 out of Max Heinzelman. In the big blind, ace-6 off. This German pro is pretty much a dead ringer for the animated poker character Max Rolfs from the Micros. What do you think?
Yes, I agree. But whatever is running through Heinzelman's head right now, Lon, has never run through my head. 2 raises in front of him, and he's got ace-6 off.
Wow. Deeb with the pocket aces with the re-raise. Kay with the original raise with pocket tens, and now Heinzelman repops it to 31-3 with his weak ace.
Heinzelman just 4-bet into a 3-way pot with ace-6 off. Ought to be 21 again with no credit card debt.
That gets rid of Kay. Now to Deeb.
Sean Deeb now in the catbird seat.
With the aces. And Deeb is going to pump up the action to 68,600.
Yeah, that's what we call a legitimate 5-bet, son. Okay, whatever is running through Heinzelman's head right now, Lon, had better never run through my head. I know these guys have history online, but this is an automatic fold. No.
All in and a snap call. Heinzelman playing for his role.
Oh, sure, the standard 6-bet all in with a 6% hand.
Heinzelman with a huge misstep against Deeb. All right, here's the flop. Heinzelman at risk. 10-6 king. Deeb still good. Josh Kay would have flopped a set.
Heinzelman now with a 9% hand.
Turn card, Queen of Hearts, each with a Broadway draw now.
So Heinzelman now needs a jack to chop the pot with a straight or a 6, or he is whamboozled.
And the river card. Oh, and Heinzelman gets there with the 6, winning that huge pot from Sean Deeb.
Well, for Heinzelman's sake, thank goodness Deeb is not Phil Hellmuth. Deeb now crippled, and I believe we have found our next main event champion, Lon.
My goodness, Heinzelman now the chip leader at this table.
That was ridiculous.
Well, for a little clarity on what just happened, let's check in with Andy Block.
This hand will be talked about for years and years at the World Series of Poker. A 6-bet pre-flop with ace-6 offsuit by Heinzelman. When he 4-bet with ace-6 and got 5-bet by Deeb, You'd think most players would lay the hand down, but Heinzelman decided, hey, I don't think my opponent has aces. I've got an ace. And if he got kings, I can still win, and he might lay down queens or jacks. I'm going to put him to the test for all the chips. Unfortunately for him, he guessed wrong. Deeb had the aces. Lucky for him, though, is he did make 3 sixes and win a huge pot.
Deeb is 25. I'm sure he'll shake off that hand by the time he's 75.
That soon, huh? To the outer tables once again, and we find actor Robert Eiler, formerly of The Sopranos. He just called the all-in of his opponent Evan Louie, who holds ace-jack. Eiler with ace-queen. Here's the flop, and there's a queen for Eiler, putting a big hurt on Louie.
Louie all but out of here.
Turn card now. Tray of hearts, and he is out of here, drawing dead, eliminated from the main event.
AJ just whacked Evan Louie.
Robert Eiler wins the pot, knocks out an opponent, and sits with a better than average chip stack. Yo, who needs Hollywood?
The 2011 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by the official WSOP game on Facebook. Play online now. For details, go to facebook.com/WSOP.
Welcome back to the Rio. Let's get our first look at Daryl Jace, who's been one of the biggest stacks in the room for a while, been on Ben Lamb's heels for quite some time. He's hooked up in a hand right now with David Oppenheim. Jace with pocket queens and a gut shot. Oppenheim with middle pair and an up and down straight draw. Jace just bet 11,500. Oppenheim makes the call. Turn card, 4 of spades. Jace is still best.
That's a very safe card for Jace. Jace cashed in the 09 main event.
And he bets 27,000 to Oppenheim, who made the final table of the 50K Poker Players Championship last year.
He was third. Oppenheim doesn't play many tournaments. He's a long-time, big-time, high-stakes cash pro.
Oppenheim with second pair and a draw. Way behind right now. And he lays his hand down, and Daryl Jace gets a little bit richer.
Oppenheim cuts his losses. Jace pads his chip stub. Oppenheim not sure he made the right laydown, but he did.
David trying to encourage his opponent to show his cards, but Jace being coy right now. All right, let's go to another outer table, and we find man who made the 2006 main event final table, 5-time bracelet winner Alan Cunningham with ace-king. He just raised to 55,000. Action on Motoyuki Mabuchi now with pocket tens. He moves all in. Alan makes the call.
Mabuchi was the fellow at the 08 main event who busted out with quad aces against a royal flush.
Deuce 8 and 9 on the flop. Mabuchi still good with his pocket tens.
Well, at least Mabuchi doesn't have to fade a royal flush now.
Almost 149,000, and there's a king that hits Cunningham. Mabuchi now with a 2-outer to stick around.
And now Mabuchi's got to have a river 10 or he is out of here.
The river card is the jack of clubs. Alan Cunningham will take it with that king on the turn, eliminating Motoyuki Mabuchi.
What did he expect? He's Alan Cunningham.
Alan's most recent bracelet came in 2007. All right, let's go from the outer tables back to our featured table. Max Heinzelman, the big stack here with over 420,000.
And he got most of those chips in that incredible hand when he sucked out against Sean Deeb.
Boy, his ace-6 against Deeb's aces. All right, action right now on Timothy Joseph. He lays it down, as does Gazes. Negreanu with ace-4 off into the muck. Folded around to Sean Deeb with few chips, few options. He has 7-6 off.
He's in the cutoff.
And he will move them all in. 19,000. Heinzelman, suited queen-jack, willing to try and finish Deeb off. Now to the finish, pro Calipuro with ace-8.
Who was second to Ben Lamb in a 10K PLO event this year at the World Series.
And he's going to re-raise it. He says, no, I will finish off Mr. Deeb. And Heinzelman lays his hand down.
Boy, getting Heinzelman to fold is no small task.
So Deeb pinning his hopes on 7-6 off.
If Deeb can double up here, he'll have a little breathing room.
The flop is trade jack 5. Calipiro still good. Deeb with a gut shot.
The good news for Deeb is that Heinzelman would have paired his jack there.
Turn card now with Deeb at risk. Another 5, no help to Sean.
Sean Deeb looking for a 4, 6, or 7.
The river card, will it be Sean Deeb's last of 2011? Yes, indeed. Sean Deeb knocked out of the main event.
He deserved better. Victimized by an ace-6 offsuit 6-bet all-in.
The man known by some online as Ted's Fish Fry is the one who got fried today. Knocked out finally by another strong online pro, Sammy Calipuro. Deeb started day 3 with a promising stack, but ends it with the spot next to Kara Scott.
Sean, thanks for talking to us. Talk to me about your thoughts, not the last hand, the hand before with the a6 versus aces. What do you think of his move there?
I mean, I had a whole plan the whole time. When I 3-bet in the previous hand, I made it a little under 3x, and this time I went for a little over 3x. So me and Max have a lot of history online, and so he thought my overraise there pre-flop was weakness, and then he just was 4-betting a blocker. And then when I 5-bet, he thought I just read his 4-bet as weakness, which I did. And I had a feeling he was willing to spaz it out, and especially like the other kid who opened the pot clearly had a decision and wanted to go all in. So like, to both of us, it means that some of the good cards are dead because that guy had a strong hand, so therefore we're less likely to have it. So I mean, I got it in really good, nothing else I can do.
I know that you've played a huge number of poker hands over your career. When that 6 hits there on the river, what's going through your head?
Now I'm into a stack size I'm used to, 10 blinds. I mean, it's a tournament, it's obviously at equity, and there's nothing I can do really at that point.
Thanks so much for talking to us.
Thanks.
This is my first all-in.
As the day 3 field got smaller,
Good luck, guys.
the beats got bigger. Lamb and Negreanu have so far dodged the day 3 debris.
Sweet.
As the main event collected victims rapidly. Sports.